Guruji can start.
Okay. Smriti-Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-Pada Shankaram Lokashankaram Sadashiva-Samarambham Shankaracharya-Madhyamam Asmadacharya-Paryantam Vande Guru-Paramparam Arunam Karunadarangitakshim Dhritapasham Kuchapushpavanachapam Animadibhiravritam Mayukaihi Ahamityeva Vibhavaye Bhavanim. With the abundant blessings of our Seva, we have been able to continue for the last more than 3 months the lecture series on LALITHA SAHASRANAMA. Last week, we had the good fortune of having the darshan of Seva, who was kind enough to release the book on Mukha Panchashati, on which through the same forum, Kamakoti Bhakti Kendra, we had a lecture series extending over about a year. And those lecture notes were prepared by one single person, Gayatri Shashi, who is in US. Week after week, she was preparing these lecture notes with extreme sincerity and of very high quality. Now, after editing, this book has now been published in 2 volumes. We have already circulated the flyer on that book. Seva was kind enough to release that book. Seva was also kind enough to peruse the Dilip magazine, the latest issue, and he appreciated our efforts. Now we continue with LALITHA SAHASRANAMA, sloka number 93.
Kushala Komalakara Kurukulla Kuleshwari Kulakundalaya Kaulamarga Tatparasebita Kumaragananathamba Tushti Pushtir Madir Dhrutihi Shanti Swasti Madir Kantir Nandini Vignanashini.
Kushala Komalakara Kurukulla Kuleshwari. Kushala means one who is capable. Kaushalyam is capability. We use this word even in ordinary conversations. Kushala, ability. Now, what is the ability which is being referred to in this name, Kushala? The ability which cannot be found in anyone else. That ability should only be ascribed to the Devi, isn't it? Then only it gels well with the other names. So here, what is that ability? The capability of creating, sustaining, and destroying all these Brahmandas. That capability is only with Devi. So Kushala, Srishti, Sthiti, Samhara, Devata. Komala Akara, Komala Akara. Akara means Rupam, form. So beautiful, soft limbs. Komala Akara. Kurukulla. Kurukulla is a form of Devi who is present in Sripuram. In Sripuram, as we have seen, there are several enclosures 25 enclosures outside the Chintamani Graham. Now, between the two enclosures of Ahankara and Chitta, there is a Vapi, a pond called Vimarsha. As you know, Vimarsha is associated with Devi and Prakasha is associated with Shiva. Now, this Vapi, this pond is called Vimarsha, and Kurukulla is the Adhishtatra Devi of that Vapi. This is described in LALITHA Sahaasranama of Durvasa. Then another meaning given by the commentator is in Bhavana Upanishad. We have referred to this Upanishad earlier, where the whole body is imagined as Sri Chakra and various limbs are assigned various roles. Now, in this body, we have a father and a mother, a Pita and Mata. And Pita is Varahi and Mata is Kurukulla. That is what Bhavana Upanishad says. These are various ways of upasana, various ways of worship, and there this Kurukulla comes in. Kuleshwari. Kuleshwari means we all have Kula Devam, a Devam, a deity for each of our lineages. Now, this Kuleshwari means Ishwari for all the Kulas. That means all the living beings, as opposed to a Kula Devam, which is for that particular Kulam, Kuleshwari. Also, it can also mean, we have seen before, Dhyana, Dhyatru, Dhyeya. Jnana, Jnatru, Jnaya. We have seen this kind of triputi exists in all our activities. All our activities, all our mental activities are having this kind of 3 dimensions. Now, these 3 dimensions can be treated as a kula, a group. Now, all activities, mental activities, will be covered by these various groups of 3. Now, she is the Ishwari, she is the Devi of these various groups. That means controlling the mind. Kula Kundalaya. Kula Kunda is the name of Mooladhara Chakra, the one right at the bottom of the spine. Mooladhara Chakra. Now there, we are going to see about this chakra soon in greater detail once again. Now, this Kundalini Shakti is supposed to be in the form of a serpent of 3.5 rounds in the center of the lotus in Kulakunda Chakra, in Mooladhara Chakra, Kulakunda Alaya, residing in Kulakunda. Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita. This can be interpreted in many ways. One simple interpretation is, whatever our ancestors have taught us in our Kula, in our lineage, in our Vamsha, we should follow that. If our ancestors have been doing a particular kind of Shiva Puja, a particular kind of Devi Puja, Sri Chakra Puja, we should try to follow that practice. So, that is what is meant by Kaula Marga, the Marga adopted in our family. Tatpara Sevita, those who are keen on following those practices, they are all worshipping Devi. By worshipping their own individual deities, because all worship goes finally to Devi. That is what Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita, worshipped by those who are engaged in, those who are keen on following the family practices of worship. Now, the more technical meaning is, we have seen what is called Samayacharam before. And there is another one called Kaulam. Kaulamatam, Samayachara Matam. And there is a third one called Mishra Matam. Now, these are the various forms of worship of Devi. And we have all along been following Samayachara in our discussion so far, because that is the one which is acceptable to Vedas, Vedic practices, and that is the one recommended for all sadhus, virtuous people. Now, those who are not capable of following this, those who don't have the mental equipment to follow this, follow the other one called Vamachara or Kaula Marga, as opposed to Samayachara Marga. Now, there are many tantras, 64 tantras, which deal with this Kaula Marga. You remember in Saundarya Lahari, there is one shloka where it says, Shiva unveiled these 64 tantras initially for the benefit of humanity, and then Devi prevailed upon Shiva to reveal the Sri Vidya Upasana, which is much higher, which is the right one for adoption by humanity. This is praised by Adi Shankara in Saundarya Lahari in one shloka. So here he says, Kaula Marga refers to those practices which are recommended in those 64 tantras unveiled by Shiva. And what is then Samayachara, which we have been seeing all along, which is that Sri Vidya, which was also unveiled by Shiva, but has been developed by Subhagama Panchakam. We saw this. 5 rishis have developed it. Shuka, Vasishta, Sanaka, Sanandana, and Sanat Kumara. These 5 rishis have developed this Subhagama Panchakam, which is Samayachara, which is what we have been looking at all along. Now there is another Mishra Matam, that is the mixture of these two, Samayachara and Kaula Matam, which is also covered by 8 tantras, Tantrashtakam. So those who follow the Kaula Marga, the 64 tantras, which are not as good as Sri Vidya, which are not as good as the Mishra Marga, even then, those who are following this, they are also worshipping Devi. So Devi is pleased with the worship of even those people. Kaula Marga Tatpara Sevita. Kumara Gananatha Amba. Amba means mother of Kumara and Gananatha. Gananatha is our Ganapati. He is the head of Ganas of Shiva. Kumara is the name of Subramanya. So mother of Subramanya and Ganapati. Now Kumara is a very beautiful name given only to Subramanya in our pantheon of Devatas. And Kalidasa has written a kavya called Kumara Sambhavam, the birth of Subramanya. Beautiful description of Himalayas, Devi's tapas, Shiva's marriage, and the birth of Kumara, etc. are all described there. So Kumara actually means a young boy. That is why we have this practice of Kumara Bhojanam during Upanayana, and also we have Sahasra Kumara Bhojanam, etc. etc. All young brahmacharis are called Kumaras. But here, what is why especially Subramanya is given that name, because there is a beautiful interpretation of the word Kumara. Kutsitaha Maraha Yasmat Saha Kumaraha. That means Mara, that is Manmatha, was ridiculed, was put down by the beauty, by the Saundarya of Subramanya. So he is called Kumara. Kutsita means rebuffed, put down. So that is Kumara Gananathamba. Pushti Pushtir Matir Dhritihi Shanti Swastimati Kantihi. Now these 7 names, Pushti, Pushti, Mati, Dhriti, Shanti, Swastimati, Kanti. These 7 names are actually virtues. These are qualities which we should imbibe from Devi. Devi is the repository of all virtues, and she is spoken of as personifying those virtues here. So, Tushti. Tushti means satisfaction, contentment, as opposed to greed. So, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha. Now, this train of evil qualities should be opposed by this virtue, tushti. That means whatever has come our way by way of our karma, we should accept it as Bhagavad Prasada. That is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us, all Shastras teach us. Because Bhagavan is not going to cheat us of what is due to us. Whatever is there to our account will come to us, whether we like it or not, whether we work for it or not. We work for our daily bread, we work for comforts, because that is expected of us. That is the nature of human being. Shastra has prescribed duties for all of us. So we perform those duties and we get certain benefits in return. Now those benefits will definitely come to us because of our karma vipaka, because of our past actions. And whatever comes to us, so it is not proportion to the effort that we put in. The effort that we put in is for our benefit, so that our future janmas will become more beneficial for us. That is why we put in those efforts. Now, this return is not in proportion to our effort. No. Sometimes we get disproportionate good effort, good return. Sometimes we get disproportionately bad return. Some people who don't put any good effort are reaping excellent benefits. All this is human observation on earth. That is because of the karma vipaka of various people. So we should understand that, and we should know that Devi is blessing us with more than what we deserve. That is the basic understanding we should have. Then that is tushti. Tushti means contentment. Ya Devi sarvabhuteshu tushti rupena samstita namastasye 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 namo namaha. Devi Mahatmyam teaches us. Pushti. Pushti means samriddhi, plenty, fertility, plenty. That means whatever comes to us, we should never feeling contented is not enough. You should also feel happy that Devi has blessed us with maximum, that more than contentment, this happiness of having plenty is pushti. In fact, if we go on worshipping Devi, seeking pushti, she is going to give us pushti. Mati is buddhi, that is intellect. Sharpness of intellect is expected of all human beings. All human beings are supposed to have sharp intellect. Kushagra buddhi, intellect like the sharp edge of a darbha grass. Now, this buddhi is constantly required for distinguishing dharma from adharma. That is why buddhi has been given to us. Intellect is given to us for not only protecting ourselves, protecting our body, protecting our belongings, protecting our people. Yes, no doubt, it is required. It is a must. Apart from that, buddhi has been given to us mainly for the purpose of distinguishing dharma from adharma. For that, sharpness is required. Otherwise, we will get confused because of our selfish desires. Dhriti is being firm. Once you have come to a conclusion using your intellect, you should be firm. Then only you can stick to dharma. So that is, in fact, the weakness of all of us. We may have mati, we may know what is dharma, but we will not follow that because we don't have dhriti. Dhriti is firm conviction in following dharma and courage. Conviction and courage. That courage is dhriti. Shanti. Shanti is peace of mind, tranquility. That will come only when desires are not there in the mind. Shanti and desire, kama, are opposed to each other. Bhagavan teaches us repeatedly in Gita. Ashantasya kutas sukham, he says. Because you have allowed desires to develop, then you have developed ashanti, then how can you feel happiness? And Tashantim Adhigachati, in another place he says, there he refers to moksha itself as Shanti, because that is the place where all your desires have been quietened down. You have been led to a situation, a mental situation of peace. That is Shanti. Now, This is something which we should all strive for in all our activities. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaha. Swastimati. Swastimati means two meanings were there. Su Asti. That means she is the only one who exists. And she is the only one who is beautiful. Shobhana. Su Asti. Only one who is really, truly existing. That is one meaning. The only one who is beautiful. That means what? One who does not face destruction at any point of time. That is permanently, eternally available, eternally abiding. That is Swasti, Swastimati. Now, in this context, Vedanta refers to three levels of truth, three levels of reality. One is called Paramarthikam, another is called Pratibhasikam, another is called Vyavaharikam. To put it simply, Paramarthikam is the highest truth, which Adi Shankara has been repeatedly teaching us. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, he goes on teaching us. So only Brahman is the reality. Everything else is not real. So that is Paramarthikam, the ultimate truth. Pratibhasikam is when we mistake the rope for the serpent when we don't have enough light. The standard example given in Vedanta. So there we think that the serpent exists in reality till we know that it is not the serpent, it is only the rope which is existing in reality. Now this kind of delusion is Pratibhasika Satyam, because it is Satyam is there, because the rope is still there, but we have mistaken it. Similarly, Brahman is always there, but we are mistaking the world. Brahman as the world. Brahman as various objects. That is Pratibhasika. Now, Vyavaharikam is, now we have taken the two extreme views now. One is the ultimate truth, another is the opposite of that, the ignorant situation. Now, between these two, there is an in-between situation which is called Vyavaharika Satyam. That means, while we are in this world, you may be a jnani, you might have realized the ultimate truth, but you have to exist with your physical body. You have to conduct your bodily activity. For that, Vyavahara is required in this world. And during that Vyavahara, you have to assume a certain amount of reality for a partial reality for all the objects of the world, for all the activities of the world. Otherwise, you cannot conduct your affairs. So that is called Vyavaharika Satyam. Now, if you say Samadarshanam, everybody is equal, you cannot conduct any affair with various people depending on their situation in life, isn't it? So to conduct the affairs of the world, you need to distinguish between person A and person B, and the activities of person A and the activities of person B. Whereas in the ultimate truth, there is no such distinction in Paramarthika Satyam. But in Vyavaharika Satyam, there is distinction which you have to abide by. Now all these three levels of truth are part of Devi's existence. So Swastimati, one who does not face any destruction and retains these three levels of truth at various stages. Swasti is also a term which is generally used for blessing, well-being, punyam, auspiciousness, etc. In those contexts also the term Swasti is used, apart from the two meanings which we saw. It means not facing any destruction and being beautiful. Beautiful means being efficient also. Beauty does not mean only beauty, it means being efficient. Then only Shobhanam, it is called Shobhanam. Kanti. Kanti is a kind of brightness along with beauty. Not just beauty, not just brightness. Brightness combined with beauty. Yadevi Sarvabhuteshu Kanti Rupena Samstita. Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Nandini. Nandini means a daughter who gives happiness to her parents. Nanda is a boy who gives happiness to his parents. who gives happiness to everybody around, but essentially to parents. That is why Krishna is called Gopa Nandana. Here we are talking about Nandini. Nanda Nandana he is called because he brings happiness to Nanda Gopa. So Nanda Nandana. Similarly, Nandini means the daughter who brings happiness. Now, as daughter of Himavan, she brought a lot of happiness to Himavan. As daughter of Satya Rishi, Katyayani, she brought happiness to her father. Like that. There are many avatars of Devi where she has brought happiness to her parents. There is a bhava of bhakti called Vatsalya, where you yourself treat Devi as your daughter and then start worshipping her as your daughter, like Mitra Bhava, as a friend, like Matru Bhava, like a mother, like that Vatsalya Bhava, where you show the kindness which you show to a child. So that is also covered in this. Another interpretation can be Kamadhenu has got a daughter called Nandini. This Nandini comes in Raghuvamsham, where King Dilip takes care of this Nandini for 21 days, leaving aside all his kingly duties. He performs this as instructed by Vasishtha for redemption from a sin which he committed when he was on a trip to Sargaloka. Vignanashini, one who destroys all obstacles. We know Ganapati is known to be Vignanashaka, and here Devi is described as Vignanashini. Mainly the obstacles are to our realizing dharma, to our realizing jnana, our realizing dharma in day-to-day activities, our realizing jnana in our ultimate quest for jnana. Then Tejovati, no, that is the next. Kushala Komalakara Kurukulla Kuleshwari Kulakundala Jamarga Kaula Marga Tatpara Devita Kumaragananathamba Tushti Pushtirmati Dhriti Shanti Swastimati Kantir Nandini Vigranashini. Next.
तेजोवती त्रिनयना लोलाक्षी कामरूपिणी आलिनी हंसिनी माता मलया चलवासिनी सुमुखी नलिनी शुभ्रुः शोभना सुरनायिका कालकण्ठी कान्तिमती शोभिनी सूक्ष्मरूपिणी.
Tejovati, one who is brilliant. Tejas is associated with Surya. So that kind of brilliance which you cannot even see with your eyes, that kind of brightness. In fact, Veda says, Natattva Suryo Bhati Nachandra Taraka Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kuto Yamadnihi Kameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Asya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. When describing Parabrahman, Veda says, Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. Because of the brightness of the shine of Parabrahman, all these luminous objects, Surya, Chandra, stars, Agni, etc., shed light. Otherwise, where is the question of light for them? Tameva bhantam anubhati sattvam. So, Tejovati, Trinayana, one who has three eyes, like Shiva, Devi also has got three eyes, Surya, Chandra, and Agni. Now, there is another interesting meaning given by Bhaktaraya to the word Trinayana. He says, Nayana means leading somebody. That's why eye is called Nayana, because eye is the one which leads us on our path. Now, Nayana is one which leads. Now, Trinayana means three ways of leading us. Now, what is the three ways of leading? Three ways of leading us to the ultimate truth, ultimate reality. Jnana, three ways of leading. Now, Shastra recognizes that there are three pramanas basically in our understanding. One is Pratyaksha, second is Anumana, third is Shabdika. Pratyaksha means what you see with your eyes. That doesn't need any other proof. You have seen it with the eyes, that is true. Anumana is you are guessing. Because there is smoke, there must be fire. Without fire, there cannot be a smoke. So this is Anumana, guesswork. This is also a pramana. This also is accepted. Then third is Shabdika. You have no Pratyaksha pramana, you have no Anumana pramana, but how to go about it, how to understand. You understand through Shabda pramana. That is, when Veda says something, you accept it as ultimate truth. Parabrahma is described in Veda, so we accept Parabrahma. We may not have seen with our eyes, we may not have Pratyaksha pramana, we can have Anumana pramana as far as Parabrahma is concerned, because we see the existence of various objects around us, which cannot exist without a Parabrahman controlling them. So we assume there is based on Anumana pramana, we assume there is Parabrahman. And thirdly, we also know that Parabrahman is this because Veda says so. Veda proves it by different descriptions. So that is Trinayana, three ways of leading us towards jnana. Lolakshi Kamarupini. Lolakshi means rolling eyes. Kamarupini means the very form of Kama. Very form of Kama with rolling eyes. Now, this is something which is required for the purpose of running this world. For purpose of running this world, you need Kama. Without Kama, no progress in this world. So that is why Devi takes the form of Kama and Devi gives that power to Manmatha for the purpose of running this world. Rolling eyes is the way of describing the intensity of the Kama. Now, Malini. Malini means one who wears a garland. Now, of course, there's a very simple meaning. Now, he gives another meaning which is more interesting. There he says, all these 51 letters of Sanskrit, Akaradik Shakaranta, 51 letters are there. They are called Matrikas. Each of the letters is called Matrika. That means an Amsha of Devi. That's why they are called Matrikas, mother forms. Now, all these 51 letters together form a mala, form a garland. And Devi is in the form of those 51 letters, in the form of that garland, Malini. Because Devi is the very form of Veda, and Veda is in the form of these letters. Kamsini. Kamsini means one who has a lot of swans in her house. Now, Saundarya also talks about swans in Devi's house. In fact, Saundarya says that these swans in Devi's house wanted to imitate Devi's gait, and they failed miserably. They kept falling down in their attempt, and Devi was kind enough, compassionate enough to teach them her gait. Charana Kamalam Charu Charite. So, another meaning is we talk about jnanis as Paramahamsas because Hamsa has got the capacity of separating milk from water. That means separating the good from the bad, separating the eternal from the transient. So that is what jnanis do. So Paramahamsas are known for this kind of jnana. Now Devi is in the very form of those Paramahamsas, so she is called Hamsini. Another meaning is there is a method of worshipping through what is called, there are many mantras as you know, 7 crores of Mahamantras are there. There is one method of upasana called Ajapa Mantra Upasana. That means chanting without chanting. Ajapa means chanting without chanting. What is the chanting without chanting? That means the inner breath and the outer breath, the breath which you inhale, the breath which you exhale. That is itself a japa. So ham hamsaha. So is the inhaled breath, and hum is the exhaled breath. So the breath itself is a japa, japa. So that is called, because it is soham hamsa, it is called hamsini. Devi is in the form of that very japa. Mata means mother. She is the mother of all of us. She is the mother of all the creation, and she is the mother of all the mantras. Just now we talked about matrikas. They are called matrikas because she is the mother, isn't it? And very form of Shabda, Veda, etc. Mata. Malayachala Vasini, one who resides in Malayachala, Malaya country, that is Kerala. Now, Malayachala is known for sandalwood trees, where the beautiful fragrance of sandalwood comes from those trees. That is what is Malayachala Maruta, Malaya Maruta. All poets talk about that. Now, Malayachala Vasini is one who resides in Malayachala in the form of Bhagavati. Even now, Bhagavati worship is quite pronounced, quite celebrated in Kerala country, and there is a special Bhagavati Seva which they practice. This is a special worship practiced in the evening, a special Padma, special Chakra is drawn in which Devi is invoked, and then Devi is invoked in a lamp, lighted lamp, which is dressed nicely, beautifully decorated, and then that lamp is worshipped as Devi. Proper ritualistic worship is done, then LALITHA SAHASRANAMA is chanted, LALITHA Trishati is chanted, Namaskaras are done with various mantras, etc. etc. That is called Bhagavati Seva, which is peculiar to Malayachala. Malayachala Vasini. Sumukhi. Sumukhi normally means one who has a pleasing face. But here, it also means that a beautiful, shining face. A beautiful, shining face. Now, the shine comes because of the jnana. That is the interpretation. That is why the word Sumukhi comes here. Not just because of the smile on the face. No. The shine on the face comes because of, so Devi is Jnana Swarupini. Nalini. Nalini means one who is like a lotus. Nalina is lotus. Nalini, one who is like a lotus. Poets describe, all poets uniformly describe Devi's face as lotus, Devi's eyes as lotus, Devi's hands as lotus, Devi's feet as lotus. So she is Nalini. Subhruhu, one who has beautiful eyebrows. Now, eyebrows have been described even in Saundarya Lahari. There is a shloka where Shankaracharya describes his eyebrows beautifully. Eyes and eyebrows. He says they are like a bow, and the space in between is where Manmatha is holding his hand, this bow. So that is how he is beautifully describing eyebrows. In fact, all these Pushti, etc., or Devatas, Devi forms who are attending on Devi in Sripura. If you see Lalita Savaratnam or Devi Bhagavatam, where Sripuram is described in detail, you will see that where Devi is seated in the Chintamani Griha, these Devatas are attending on her, they are standing all around her, Tushti, Pushti, they have taken forms of Devi and are attending on her. Now, by mere movement of the eyebrows, she is giving them work to do. Subhru, by mere movement of the eyebrows. Shobhana. Shobhana means extremely beautiful. Suranayika, the head of all Suras, all Devas. The head of all Devas is Devendra. And Devi is the head of even Devendra, so she is Suranayika. Now, actually, Devas are supposed to be our overlords. In fact, all our activities are controlled by Deva. Our eyes are controlled by Surya, for example, and so on. All our Indriyas are controlled by various Devatas. So, Devatas are our overlords, and Devi is the overlord of all those Devatas. That is the hierarchy which they are trying to tell us. Suranayika, Kalakanthi. Kalakantha is Parameshwara, like Nilakantha. Kala means black. Black throated. There is Seva. And Shiva's consort is Kalakanthi. Now, Bhaskar Raja quotes from Vaju Purana beautifully. He says, where Shiva himself says, I am Kalakantha. Pashyatam Devasanghanam Pishacho Rajarakshasam Dhritam Kanthe Visham Ghoram Kalakanthastatosmyaham Dhritam Kanthe Visham Ghoram Ghoram Visham. Terrible poison I am holding in my throat, so I am called Kalakantha. Kalakanthi. Kantimati, one who is having Kanti, that is beauty with shine. We saw. Now we have seen Kanti, now it is Kanti Mati. Now this is like saying Dhanam and Dhanavan. Dhanam is wealth, Dhanavan is one who possesses the wealth. Similarly, Kanti was that beauty with the shine, which itself is Devi. Here, one who possesses that beauty with shine is Kanti Mati. Shobhini. Shobhini is a very interesting name because Shobha means agitation. Shobhini means one who causes agitation. Now she is supposed to cause Shanti and not agitation. Devi, if we worship her, we develop Shanti, we don't develop Shobha. Then why we are praising her as Shobhini? There is a special reference to it. The reference is that Devi produces Shobha, agitation, in the mind of Shiva for the purpose of creation. When the time comes for the new creation cycle to start, Shiva is present, very silent, Rupa. So he has to be prodded to start the process of creation. That prodding is creating agitation. That is Shobha in the mind of Shiva for the purpose of starting the process of creation. Because without starting the process of creation, these jivas, all of us, will not have any means of redemption. We have seen it before. So out of sheer compassion, this cycle has to restart. That is Shobhini. Sukshma Rupini, one who is of very subtle form. That means the form cannot be easily understood by ordinary persons like us. If it is Sthula Rupini, you can go and see. Sthula Rupas we see in temples, in our pictures, in our idols. We see that. That is Sthula Rupa, solid figure. But Sukshma Rupa, subtle figure, how can we see that? It can only be understood by a very subtle mind, isn't it? A subtle figure can be grasped only by a subtle mind. So the subtle mind, which is Veda, subtle mind, which is that of a jnani, tells us how that Sukshma Rupa is there. That is how there are people, human beings, who have seen Devi face to face, like Mukha, Kavi himself, who saw Devi. There are many others, many jnanis who have seen Devi personally. So in those cases, Devi takes up a solar form for the purpose of the people to see, jnanis to see. So that is Sukshma Rupa. Veda says, Anoraniyan Mahator Mahiyan, subtler than the atom and larger than the biggest object, largest object which you can imagine. If you think Himalayas are the largest object, larger than Himalayas. If you think atom is the smallest, smaller than the atom. Anoraniyan Mahator Mahiyan. So how can you recognize an object like that? It's smaller than the smallest, larger than the largest. It's impossible for us to appreciate. That is why she is called Sukshma Rupini. Only when we develop that jnana, we will be able to understand this. So she is beyond our normal understanding. Tejo Gati Trinayana Golakshi Kamarupini Malini Hamsini Mata Malaya Chalavasini. Golakshi Kamarupini is one name. It's counted as one name. Sumukhi Nalini Subhru Shobhana Suranayika Kalakanthi Kantimati Shobhini Sukshma Rupini.
Vajreshwari Vamadevi, sorry, Vajreshwari Vamadevi Vayovastha Vivarjita, Siddheswari Siddha Vidya, Siddhamata Yashaswini, Vishuddhi Chakranilaya, Araktavarna Trilochana, Kadmanga Adiprakarana, Vadalaika Samanvita.
Vajreshwari, that is one of the names of Devi. That is, we have seen there are 15 Tithi Devatas. For each Tithi there is a Devata. For Shashti Tithi, the sixth Tithi, the Devi is called Vajreshwari. For every Tithi there is a name for that Tithi Devata. Now, another interesting meaning is, there are enclosures outside in Sripuram, outside this Chintamani Griham, some 25 or so. Now, one of them is made of diamond. There are many metals. There are many metals, Gomedaka, etc., etc. Many metals, many gems. Well, starting from the lowest iron, it goes on silver, gold, etc. So one area is that of Vajra. Vajra means diamond. Now, between this diamond enclosure and the next enclosure, there is a river. That river is called, that river itself is Vajra. That river is Diamond River, mind you. Vajramaya River. Now, this Devi is obviously the Adhisthana Devata of that river. That is Vajreshwari. Vamadevi, also, Vajra is the weapon of Devendra. And the Devi, it was Devi who blessed Devendra with that weapon. That is mentioned in Brahmanda Purana. Sajjalat Uthita Devi Vajram Dadva Baladvishe Punarantar Sopi Kritartha Swargame Jivan. Sajjalat Uthita Devi. She arose from those waters and then she blessed Devendra with that Vajra. Vamadevi. Vamadevi means beautiful Devi. One meaning. And Vamadeva is one of the names of Ishvara, Shiva. And she is the consort of Shiva. There are 5 faces of Shiva. One of the faces is called Vamadeva. Sadyojadam, Vamadevam, Tatpurusham, Yeshanam, Aghoram. These are the 5 faces, and Vamadeva is one of the faces. So Vamadevi. Also, Vama means left. In Ardhanarishwara Swarupa, Devi occupies the left side and right side is occupied by Shiva. So she is Vamadevi, Devi on the left. So several such meanings have been derived for Vamadevi. Vayovastha Vivarjita, that is also single name. Vayovastha Vivarjita, one who is free from the states of age. Vaya is age, Avastha means the state. That means the state of youth, the state of old age, state of childhood. These are the various states through which we pass. But Devi does not pass through these various states through which a human body passes. And she is always Yuvati, she is always of the age of 16. So Vayovastha Vivarjita, free from the states dictated by age. Siddheshwari, Ishwari of Siddha. Siddhas are special yogis who have specialized in practices which lead to firming up this human body so that the body can last for hundreds of years. This speciality is Siddhas. Why they do this? Why they want to live so long? Because they want to reach Devi. They want to get that jnana. And jnana is not easy to attain in a short time. So if you prolong living in this human body, there is a greater chance, there is a greater scope for worshipping Devi and getting the jnana. So that is what Siddhas do. So she is the Ishwari of Siddhas. Siddha Vidya is the Vidya by which Siddhas are able to prolong their life in the human body. Kaya Kalpa, etc., etc. There were special herbs, special processes by which they attain hard, tough body. That is Siddha Vidya. Siddha Mata, she is the mother of those Siddhas. First was Siddha Ishwari, now Siddha Mata. Mother means she is guiding, protecting. Ishwari means she is the Lord. He controls so that they don't go on a wrong path. That is Siddha Ishwari. Siddha Mata is the motherly love. She protects their interests. Yashaswini, one who has the greatest fame. Naturally, all the fames of all human beings is nothing compared to the yashas of Devi, the fame. Now, from this next one, Vishuddhi Chakra Nilaya onwards, we must go back to the 7 chakras in the human body. The 7 chakras in the human body, which we have seen before, starting from Mooladhara Chakra to Sahasrara Chakra at the top. In between, there are 5, so totally there are 6 chakras plus the 7th one being the Sahasrara. Now, each of these chakras is assigned a Devi called a Yogini. Now, each of those Yoginis is being described in great detail in these slokas because, after all, these chakras are very important because Kundalini Shakti is being roused from slumber from Mooladhara Chakra and taken up on this Sushumna Nadi, on this path across these various chakras. So at each of these chakras there is a Devi who helps us in the progress of this Kundalini. We worship those Yogini Devi and the progress of Kundalini Devi is achieved. Kundalini Shakti is achieved. Also, there is, as you know, a Nyasa procedure for every puja, every homa, etc. So there is something called Shodha Nyasa. There was a reference to it in the Purva Bhaga of LALITHA SAHASRANAMA. Because Agastya told Hayagriva, you have told me Shodha Nyasa, now you teach me LALITHA SAHASRANAMA. Like that, we saw in that context. Shodha Nyasa means 6-fold Nyasa. Nyasa of 6 types. And one of those 6 types is Yogini. There are other 5 aspects of this Nyasa. They are also to be done. If you want real progress in Kundalini worship, you have to go through these 6 types of Nyasas. So one of the Nyasas is worshipping those Yoginis, assigning those Yoginis to different parts of the body. And they are already assigned to different chakras. Now we will see each one of them. Each of the Devis have got certain description associated with the Devi. Vishuddhi Chakra Nilaya, Arakta Varna, Trilochana, Khattvangadi Praharana, Vadaneka Samanvita. Now we are starting with Vishuddhi Chakra. Vishuddhi Chakra is the chakra at the throat. Normally you will start with Mooladhara Chakra and end with Sahasrara Chakra. But normally we talk about 6 chakras. Because these 6 chakras are on the way to the 7th, which is Sahasrara, which is the ultimate one. So normally there is a 6 plus 1, that is the usual one. So if you start at the 6th one, which is the Ajna Chakra, it is okay. But here he is starting with the 5th chakra, which is Vishuddhi Chakra, which is at the throat. Why? That also is being answered by the commentator. Now each of these 7 chakras, each of these 7 yoginis is associated with a dhatu in the human body. Our human body is made of 7 dhatus, starting from Tvak means the skin, starting from skin and so on, blood, etc., which we will see. So each of these dhatus is assigned to that devata. Now the first devata, naturally skin is the outermost, skin is the first one. The skin is assigned to this yogini who is in Vishuddhi Chakra. So it will come in the next shloka. That is why we are starting with that. This is the logic for starting with Vishuddhi Chakra. Vishuddhi Chakra Nilaya, that yogini who is abiding in Vishuddhi Chakra. Her name is Dakineshwari, which comes in the next shloka. Araktavarna, she is of red color. Aktavarna means red color. Araktavarna means slightly red color, not deep red color. So The complete description of these yoginis is given in these slokas so that we concentrate on those yoginis and assume those yoginis' existence in our human body at those respective places. That is called nyasa, isn't it? So for enabling us to do our proper nyasa, this description has been given. Araktavarna Trilochana with 3 eyes, like we have seen before, 3 eyes. All yoginis do not have 3 eyes. That is why these descriptions are coming. There are, which we will see in the next sloka, there are yoginis with 1 eye, 2 eyes, etc. etc. Katvangadi Praharana. What are the weapons which this Devi is having? Katvanga, etc. Praharana means the weapons. Katvanga, etc. Katvanga is a weapon which is like the leg of a cot. That is why it's called Katvanga. A leg of a cot, and it has a Nara Kapala stuck at one end. A Kapala stuck at one end. That is the description of Katvanga. When he says Katvanga Adi, there are 4 weapons. Katvanga, Khadga, Shula, and Mahacharma. Khadga is a sword. Shula, we all know, the Shula. Mahacharma means a large skin, which is also used as a weapon. Vadanaika Samanvita, one face, because there are yoginis with 3 faces, 6 faces, etc. So that will come later. So, but this particular yogini has got only 1 face. She has 4 weapons, including Katvanga. She has 3 eyes. She is of slightly red color. And she is having her residence in Vishuddhi Chakra. Vajreshwari Vamadevi Vayogastha Vivardhita Siddheshwari Siddha Vidya Siddhamata Yashaswini Vishuddhi Chakra Nilaya Raktavarna Trilochana Khatvanga Praharana Vadanaika Samanvita.
पायसान्नप्रिया त्वक्सा पशुलोकभयङ्करी अमृतादिमहाशक्ति संवृता डागिनीश्वरी अनाथकब्धनिलया श्यामाभा वदनद्वया दंष्टोज्ज्वला अक्षमाला उदिरसंस्थिता.
Now this Devi is called Dakinishwari. That is mentioned. The name is mentioned here. Each of these yoginis has got a name. Dakinishwari, Yakinishwari, Sakinishwari, etc. Now this Devi, what is the Naivedyam which is pleasing to her? Payasannam is the Naivedya which is pleasing to her. Payasa is described as rice cooked in milk. That is called Payasa. That is the definition of Payasa. And Payasanna Priya. Twakstha. Now here comes the twak, skin. The one who is abiding in the skin. Twakstha. The Abhimani Devata of skin. Pashuloka Bhayankari. One who is terrible for the world of animals. That is the direct meaning. One who is terrible for the world of animals. No, that is not the meaning. That is direct meaning. Word by word meaning. The meaning is Pashu is not animal, Pashu is all of us. We have seen it, we have seen before, we are all called Pashus because we are tied to the post of samsara by what is called Pasha, by our attachment. Pasha is the rope which is tying this animal to the post. The post is samsara and attaching tie the rope is Pasha, the attachment. Pasha actually means rope in Sanskrit. Also it means attachment. Our attachments to samsara is what is holding us attached to samsara and detached from Devi. So we are all Pashus in that sense. That is why Seva is called Pashupati, because he is the one who can give us jnana and release us from this bondage. Now Pashuloka Bhayankari, why she is described as terrible for this world of jivas? Because unless you create a fear in their mind that this samsara is terrible, you find it very nice. You continue from Janma to Janma. That is why we have taken crores of Janmas. We are continuing to come back to the samsara because we have not developed the fear. So she is the one who gives us that fear of samsara so that we will be able to get detached from samsara and we will get attached to jnana of Devi. Amritavadi Mahashakti Samvrita Dakinishwari. Dakinishwari is the name. There are 9 attributes for Dakinishwari in these 2 shlokas. For each of the yoginis, 9 attributes are being mentioned. Amrita Adi Mahashakti is the last of the 9 attributes. She is surrounded, Samvrita means surrounded. She is surrounded by Mahashaktis. They are called Mahashaktis. These Devatas are not ordinary Shaktis, they are themselves Mahashaktis who are surrounding this Yogini Devi. Mahashaktis, who are those Mahashaktis? Amrita, etc. Amrita, etc. or the Mahashaktis. Now, this particular Vishuddha Chakra has got 16 petaled lotus, 16 petals. So these Devatas are sitting in each of those petals. There are 16 Devatas starting with Amrita. Now he is giving the name, commentator is giving the name. Amrita, Akarshini, Indrani, Ishani, Uma, Urdhvakeshi, Riddhida, Rukara, Lukara, Lukara, this Ru, Lu, etc. are the letters of the alphabet. Ekapada, Aishwaryatmika, Omkara, Aushadhi, Ambika, Akshara. These are the 16 Devis, Mahashaktis, who are surrounding this Dakineshwari Yogini, who is in Vishuddhi Chakra. Now, another interpretation which we have to remember, because that is very useful as we go along. These 16 represent the 16 letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, from starting with A, ending with Aha, E. There are 16 up to Aha. Now, next Yogini, you will start with Ka and so on. So, depending on the number of petals of the lotus, the number of letters of the alphabet, and the number of devatas who are sitting in those petals, attending on the Yogini Devi, are all defined. That's how the whole description is done. Very beautiful. So we stop for the day. Payatanna priya twastha pasuloka bhayankari amritadi mahashakti samvrita dakini ishwari. Anahata Abhyanalaya, starting with Anahata Chakra, we take up in the next session. Time is up. Now, any questions?
If anybody has any questions, please unmute yourself, turn on your video and ask questions, please. Any questions, anybody? No questions, Guruji.
No. Okay, we close for the day and we wish you all the best. We meet again next Saturday at 7 p.m. IST as usual for this English session. Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadeva Sarvatra Govinda Nama Sankirtanam Govinda Govinda Jai Raja Rajeshwarya Jai Jaya.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll meet again at the same time next week. Hara Hara Shankara, Jai Jai Shankara.